Okay, guys, welcome to the show. I don't like this camera angle. Anyway, we are here on Labor Day weekend. It is 6:31. Oh, wait a minute. 8:31, 2024, August. And I hope you guys in the States are having a fantastic weekend. hmm Oh, that's much better. Yes, yes, yes. Anyway, try something new. It didn't work out. So anyway, Labor Day weekend, August 31st, 2024. It is 5:21 in the evening, and I have been up over 13 hours now, and I decided to make the track. I think I made it in like an hour and a half, which doesn't sound right, but they had the second Hillsville flea market of the year. They do two a year: Memorial Day, Labor Day, Memorial Weekend, Labor Day weekend, or basically turn the entire town into a flea market. And, I always kind of like, I'm just going to wait and go to a place called Dublin, a Dublin flea market. That's usually a week or two out from that one where I've been scoring better comics and more comics and better prices. But last night, the insomnia hit. I probably fell asleep about 2:30. And then I was up at 4:45, got up, had coffee, drove my butt down there, and I was there at 7 o'clock before, and there were still vendors setting up. Now, yesterday, the actual Hillsville flea market started, and usually I'm there on a Friday, but I decided to be responsible and go ahead and go to work, because there's things to do. And of course, when I got there, I found out the supervisor had taken a day off and I had some flex time. And I immediately realized about 15 minutes after being at work that I'm like, yeah, I fucked up. Hey, good evening. What is this? Palo Costo is here. Uh-oh. We have, there we go. Okay, good evening. I'm watching Fast and Furious movie. Why not? While waiting for the Indy car race to start. Oh, fantastic. Nice. I've got a little something I'm going to watch tonight. I think they have a oh my god, what is it? Battle in the WWE has a, I'm pretty sure, a pay-per-view that actually like starts. Yeah, it's started like 20 minutes ago, but I like to jump in so I can fast forward through most of it. It takes them forever to get to the ring. Was it Battle of Berlin? Something like that. I don't know. But anyway, Terror Twins all the way. Anyway, so as you're probably going to be hearing before I start showing the comics and stuff, we have a huge thunderstorm going on, which was part of the reason I decided not to go yesterday, because it showed it's going to be raining every day when we're having huge thunderstorms that hit here at 5 o'clock. They said it didn't hit down there. It's hitting out here again, and I've got a gutter messed up, so I'm having parts of my yard washed away. Not a big deal. Okay. But other than that, I had a great time. I ended up tracking my steps. I ended up doing 6.33 miles for this little tiny stack of comics. All right. Hillsville, not a lot of vendors are doing comics. I have found signed comics there before over the years, great comics there over years. I found that Shazam for $2 and I felt like the last time I really found something great that I can recall was the first. It was actually the second appearance, but it's the first appearance of Black Adam. What was it? Shazam number 2728 in the 70s. Found that for $2, and I probably could have got it cheaper, but I felt kind of guilty because at the time it was worth several more $100 than it is now. Still worth a couple hundred, right? But yeah, I decided to go down there, and the in prices that I saw are getting ridiculous, guys. Right? I could not imagine getting into comics now as a young lad at all the way it is. And it's not an old man yelling at the clouds. This is getting ridiculous. And when I tell you why it's ridiculous, you knowing my loathing, I can even joke around and say the word love, my loathing for Booster Gold. But the prices were ridiculous. There was actually three guys out of North Carolina, and they were set up, and they had $5 boxes, $2 boxes, $3. They had it set up by boxes, a few keys here and there, and the whole point of the flea market, and I'm sure Hillsville is a little expensive because of all the foot traffic that comes in there, and it is a big deal for how much money that town makes and the local residents and stuff. But the prices that they have was ridiculous. And I kind of talked to one or two of the people, and they said that some guy, I could tell the boxes have been picked through on a Friday. If you want to get the comics, you got to get there early on Friday, the first day. It runs from Friday to Monday. And apparently, they are claiming that, and it's possible. I've seen people buy out, spend $3,000-$4,000 and just buy entire people out before when it comes to like handmade jewelry and things like that. I've seen it over the years, but they're claiming that some guy came through and he spent about $500 just picking through their stuff. Maybe, and I think another guy said it was $300. So apparently there was somebody that had like a grand to blow or something, if they're telling the truth, because they were not really willing and dealing that well. But I still managed to get a few little things. I really end up enjoying myself. The Amish were making donuts. The smells were great because the food is fantastic. Homemade ice cream where they're churning it. Tons, and I watched tons of people show up. Like I said, I was there probably like 15 to 7 by the time I got there, with my coffee, just chatting away and everything with whoever would listen. But the pricing was ridiculous at this, and here it is, right? For you people that are here, I've stalled long enough. But they actually had like I told you, they had like boxes set up to where like everything in this box, everything's $10. And then they would have their boxes, of course, where everything was priced individually and stuff. One guy had $2 boxes, $3 boxes, $5 boxes, and then we have the guy who had the $10 boxes. And so help me, I'm not joking. Booster Gold Volume 1, I saw issue 3 all the way up to the last issue. $10 a piece is what they were asking. $10 a piece. This is the kind of ridiculous pricing they're doing. And then I walked around other parts of the town, found a few other vendors, looked at their stuff, and I used a lot. I went in with a plan, stop just buying things you want to read. You know what I mean? Stop nickeling and diming yourself to death there, Haller. You know what I mean? Even though I could will and deal and bargain, I did find a few things. So before we get to the comics, let's bring in Comic Cam. I want to show you what I got at Ollie's earlier in the week. And then also what I went ahead and purchased Tuesday night earlier in the week. If you have me on Instagram, you've already seen it. Okay. Oh, well, look at that. Coming up as Howler Mouse instead of Comic Cam. My. Hey, good evening. My God, Eric Breen. I was about to put out a missing persons request on you there. Good evening. I'm watching baseball because I'm not an IndyCar race. So we have baseball, WWE, and IndyCar going on. Oh, man. So I'm glad you guys are checking me out on the side and stuff, right? I don't know if I'll be doing this morning. And again, you may hear thunder and stuff because it is storming right now. And when it rains, you guys know that's when I'm like, let's go play around with the comics. Okay, so let's bring them in. Yes. Say hello to Comic Cam. And I tried to get fancy. Instead of the gray table here, I've decided to try to come in with a little color, if you will, right? So basically what you're seeing here, I'm going to do to consider these live shows like the director's cut, okay, of me talking about the comics and stuff, right? I have ended up accumulating a lot of comics in the month of August, so I'm going to be making a shorter video with this stuff. And on top of that, I'm probably thinking, if anybody wanted to see it, I don't know, but talking about Watchmen Chapter 1 here, right? Blu-ray digital code. We get some 3D animation, if you will, computer animation, where they actually scan Dave Gibbons' art from the Watchmen down to the microdot. There's an extra on here where on the Blu-ray where they're talking about their process of making this. And I don't know why so many people online, at least in my circles, on the Facebook, on the trailers and the clips and stuff on YouTube, where people are already like, I don't see the point. I don't know what to say when they do that, right? I'm so happy this came out. I absolutely loved it. Okay. And they actually did a few little changes in it. Now, don't let your head blow up. We're not talking about the anything that's. Let me put it this way: I'm so glad this came out because I did not want the bookend of Watchmen to be that god awful 99% garbage HBO Max show that was absolutely horrible, right? Because that was supposed to be a sequel to the book and not the movie. I like the ultimate cut of the movie, but the ultimate cut of the movie, Zack Snyder, and I loved how he did it. There's a little artistic spot on there. He followed the book pretty faithfully all the way up to issue 6, and he actually kind of communicated to the audience that I'm cutting from the book by having Rorschach get a cleaver as he took it to somebody's face. Let's just put it that way. He was actually showing us he was cutting from the movie. I thought it was hilarious, right? But this has J. Michael Straczynski doing the scripting, and chapter 2 will be out later. This is about the first 5 issues, I think, right? And he did a fantastic thing because J. Michael Straczynski has dabbled in Alan Moore's Watchmen before, guys, right? If you go all the way back to, what are we talking, 2010, 2011, 12, whatever it was, where we had the before Watchmen books came out, in DC, and Dan Didio and everybody supposedly actually met with Alan Moore and he turned them down. So they were going to do it anyway. They wanted prequels and Alan supposedly wouldn't do them. Boy, I remember the story. So Dan Didio was like, "We're doing them anyway," and they brought in Amanda Connor. They brought in Darwin Cook, who actually did some fantastic stuff there with his Minutemen miniseries. And J. Michael Straczynski actually wrote one of the better ones and one of the worst ones. He ended up doing the Night Owl miniseries, and he also ended up doing the Dr. Manhattan miniseries of the before Watchmen books. So the guy has, we know he has some credentials there with knowing Watchmen. So basically what they did is they took it's not a big spoiler, but the flashbacks, what they did is, if you know the book, the first issue is Rorschach gathering everybody around saying, hey, there's a mass killer, and where he's our reader's eyes to this world, right? And then in issue 2, they go to the comedian's funeral, and as they're standing over the grave, they have their flashbacks of the comedian. Well, he got rid of that, and he actually had the flashbacks fit in between scenes of issue 1, and it works really well. And then they're just standing there for the grave and they move on. And then we have Rorschach's little ending there where, he's, gets Moloch and then he sneaks into the graveyard and he tells the joke of Pagliacci and gets the rose and has his big monologue there, right? So it all fits. I absolutely love this. I thought this was fantastic. The biggest thing is the voice acting. Now, don't get me wrong, with the ultimate cut, the second Laurie, the Silk Spectre there, a little bit of wooden acting acting there, if you will. The way she delivered the lines really bothered me and stuff, right? Much better in this, right? I can't remember her name. She's off of Katie Sackhoff is Laurie on this, right? Absolutely love this, right? And I've seen people really down it like it's unnecessary and it's this and that and everything like that. I don't know what the point of that is, right? But little redeeming. Maybe we can forget about that HBO Max garbage. That's the one everybody should be complaining about. That was absolutely horrible. It had like maybe 2 really good episodes and then the rest of the show was just shit. It just blew my mind, right? So I recommend this. I'm enjoying it. I mean, you can see clips of it on YouTube, right? So then we found this at Ollie's. We lost Comic Cam. Do not panic. We're going to go back in here and get him. It's not a Howler Mouse show if we don't have a technical difficulty, people. So anyway, let's see what happened here. I saw a flash of lightning out there, so I think there was a surge. So there we go. We are coming back in. There we go. Enter studio. So this is Comic Cam. I've seen him behind the scenes. Mute that mic, and we are good to go. We are back, people. Switch them out. There we go. I'm getting. You see how quick I did that? I'm finally getting the hang of this crap. So I saw this at Ollie's, passed it up, And then luckily I went to another Ollie's because I wished I had gotten it. And no, I have not opened it. But this is a oh my God, what was this? A $50 book for $6.99, right? And this is apparently the behind the scenes artwork and stories behind Clive Barker movies of Hellraiser and Nightbreed and things like that, right? And there are other things out there on YouTube to where people have already, this is old news apparently, but you know, people have already opened the book for you and they flip through the pages and stuff. You know, maybe when I get in here, if there's something interesting, I'll see and stuff. But I'm very inside the mind of the legendary creator of Hellraiser and Candyman with an afterword of Clive Barker. So yeah, Clive Barker's Dark Worlds and stuff, a little hardback, and we get to see all kinds of stuff in here. So I'll be getting that open later. All right, we have people in here. My goodness. Yes, it is a surprise stream. I may not be here in the morning. All right, what do we got here? Eric Breen, so good to see you. Hello, Comic Cam. See, I told you Comic Cam has its his fans. I have an idea for a video next time you want me to be as a guest. Go over how important the Watchmen text features are. I am down. I can go, guys. I have a Watchmen playlist in my on my YouTube page. Right, goes back years. There's all sorts of stuff in there, all such sort of stuff from this video, all sorts of this channel, all sorts of stuff to where I think like 10 years ago we did a community stream, if you will, where each channel took a chapter of Watchmen and we all talked about it. I have all kinds of stuff. So Paolo, we are down for that. I'll message you and see when you're available. And after I find out what I'm doing here a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Just because Jared has never read Watchmen text pieces, he's missing out. John is here. And as we always say, like, subscribe, sub, just like John does, because John, and I know he does that, and he's got that bell. So you know when I'm going to be doing this stuff. And then we have Friar Tuck. Good to see you, man. I don't think I've seen you in a bit. Just spent $75 at my local comic book shop and on dollar and under books. Oh, well, I hope you're going to be making a video or something of that. I'm down for seeing that. That is a hell of a haul, my friend. Got a pretty decent run of late 80s Spectre and Firebrand run from the mid 90s. Okay. Nice. I wonder if it's that Doug Munch Gray Morrow one. Okay. Everybody saying hello. All right. Victor Shade, it is a surprise stream. I just really decided to do it. Skeet's fault again. Oh, everybody's saying hello. Good to see everybody. All right. Fantastic. So here we go. We are now here. Oh, yeah. And if you guys didn't catch it last week, here's what I got at Ollie's last week, which is why I did not get this. I decided to go with this, but just to let you know, this is also out there. This was $9.99, and I think it's a $40 trade. Yeah, it's a $40 trade for $9.99, but it's the complete Eternals Volume 1 with the annual by Jack Kirby. If you know your Epic collections, this is basically the same format and stuff, right? I do have all the issues of Jack Kirby's Eternals. And this is where I'm at with my collecting. I'm wanting things I can pull off the shelf so I don't have to dig through the boxes anymore. I absolutely love this series. Like I said, my stepdad had #1 in the house forever with sporadic issues. And then I would pick up some here and there over the years. And then finally at the Hillsville flea market, I got this huge lot of comics for, after I did the math, it came to 17 cents a piece, and it was like Hellblazer and Eternals and all sorts of stuff, right? So I'm saying that place used to be hopping. So right here, these are sort of keys, right? So what I'm showing you probably cost me $20 to $24. Which I think is ridiculous, but what do you want to do, you know? But anyway, I went through, if you heard me complaining about the pricing and stuff that people are doing now, it's just ridiculous out there. I do blame this Comic Key Collectors app. That is ridiculous. When there is, and it's not an old man yelling at clouds, guys. I could not imagine being a young guy now. You're getting ripped off left and right. You know what I mean? If you use this app instead of actually looking at a comic book guide. eBay is not a comic price guide, guys. So anyway, this is sort of a key book. This is a weird era for Mark Waid on the Flash. This is issue 152. You are seeing, I think this is the first full appearance of the Dark Flash. I reserve the right to correct myself later. But basically, you have to remember, Mark Waid actually had been around comics for a while. He wrote some, the earliest thing I could think of him writing is some Justice League quarterly stories. I think he edited, assistant edited. He's been around, I think, since the 80s. But as a writer, he became noticed on The Flash, right? Because we've gone from that dark and gritty era of the 80s going into the indie stuff and everything like that, the tone, the cable, the big guns, the pouches and stuff. And he comes in on the Flash and he's basically telling Silver Age stories in modern age times. And it blew up and Mike Wieringo came in and all of a sudden like Flash was the book and Mark Waid was a name and it led him to Captain America and Age of Apocalypse and stuff. And all of a sudden, he was in demand. Kingdom Come, he helped mold and shape that, which was Alex Ross's baby. We do not want to ever forget that. But then this was a weird story because I was already out of the Flash for a while. He took a year off, and Mark Miller and Grant Morrison came in and wrote some underwhelming stories, apparently, because I finally got around to reading that run. And then he came back, and during that break, I think he was in some other stuff. Did everything sound all right, guys? I'm getting an echo. Anyway, so I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this, and all of a sudden he does this story where the Silver Age light-hearted book with a lot of heart and stuff all of a sudden gives us a grim and gritty Flash from the future. So I was just sort of like, well, that's a contradiction of tone, with what this book was and why people collect it. But apparently this is, I've got one other issue of this story. Whatever, Jeff Johns was just around the corner of taking over this book and stuff, and really had some key issues there with what he did with the villains. All of a sudden, it was about the villains. Turns out Jeff Johns was a huge Flash fan, and I remember reading an article, probably in Wizard or something, where he claimed he had every issue of the Flash. So who knows, right? So that was cool to find, right? Now, this was cool to find, and I did do my best to make sure it was a first print. There's little tricks with making sure it's a first print by looking at the inside of your book and see if it says second print. If you had a UPC symbol, you could look at the last number to see if it's a number 1, a number 2, or number 3. That tells you what print it is. Or you can kind of go through the articles and compare the articles, the ads, and you can compare the copyright date of the ads to the book. There's a little bit of math, right? So as far as I know, this is it. But this is the issue, if I remember right, that came. Okay, so what we had here was Max Allan Collins writing a little bit of the Batman, right? And then all of a sudden, we had Frank Miller, David Muzzucchelli, fresh off of Daredevil Reborn or Born Again, Daredevil Born Again or whatever. And all of a sudden they took over the book for 4 issues and gave us Batman Year One. And now all of a sudden we're getting Batman the New Adventures, and we get a reintroduction of Jason Todd, if you will, right? So this is a bit of this book was so popular for a while, we were getting reprints of them, but I never saw them in the newsstand. So I'm assuming that all the reprints back then probably were ordered by the comic book shops. Didn't get that on the spinner rack. You either got it or you didn't, So yeah, I saw this, and yeah, I did pay a little bit. And this is what I was saying about the pricing. This is in one of those $5 boxes. And then this guy was like, I told him, I was like, well, you have it in the $5 box with a bunch of Batman. He was like, well, I don't know if it should have been in there. And he looked it up. It's a $22 book. I went with 10. Okay. I met him halfway. And that's just because, as you can see, I did not get a huge haul going here. Right. So yeah, this should be kind of cool. The reintroduction of Jason Todd. Now, when it comes to Jason Todd and him coming back as the Red Hood that Judd Winnick did, I absolutely was digging it, right? I was like reinvested in Batman. I wasn't really into the Batman book. And I'm wanting to say we had a bad taste in our mouth from All-Star Batman with Frank Miller and All-Star Batman and Robin with Frank Miller and Jim Lee drawing his heart out. But when Jason Todd came back after being dead. And yes, I was one of the people that did get to vote to kill him, back in the day. Plus, I got my money back from the payphone. It spit all the change back. But anyway, when he came back, I was digging it, but I really ended up loving the story of Jeff and becoming a bit of a Red Hood fan when there's an issue that I think it was Jeff Johns did in the Teen Titans book at the time. And here's Red Hood in the Teen Titans while all this stuff is going on in Batman. And Red Hood, I love the moment. It's a very quiet moment. He walks into Titan's Tower on the grounds, and they have statues of all the Titans that have died, Lilith and so forth and so on. And all of a sudden, he was like, "I was a Titan. I died. Where's my statue?" And all of a sudden, that character clicked for me. I'm like, he's right. Batman didn't avenge him. And all that stuff, right? So yeah, there we go. There we got that right there. Good stuff, right? Now here's a funny little story for me on this one. This is a key book, right? This was part of Total Chaos, right? This anything Marv Wolfman was pretty much writing in the Titans universe. It was Titans, Team Titans, TEAM Titans, and Deathstroke. He ended up doing this little crossover event in the early 90s called Total Chaos, right? And if you know about Miss Marvel and Avengers number 200, that's where my mind went with it, because Donna Troy ended up having a baby that immediately grew because it was a Titan, a god, if you will, right? Loosely, all these books it felt like they were loosely attached, right? And this was part of it. I don't even know why Deathstroke was really considered part of Total Chaos. Maybe I need to reread those. It is a rough read, but this is a bit of a key book because of what would happen in the future. This is the first appearance, and it's funny to be considered a first appearance because basically she just walks by. But he ends up at a monastery or something over here in Vietnam or something, and then I think we have a flashback tale. But he and this lady ended up having a baby that he didn't know about, and it's a little girl walking around with white hair, much like old Wade here, Wade Wilson, Slade Wilson, take your pick. And basically, it's the first appearance of his daughter Rose Walker, who will grow up and be a teen and become the next Ravager. Big time part of Jeff Johns' Teen Titans, about 10 years after this book, probably, right? She was so nuts that to be like her daddy, they were like flying in a plane or something. He was flying them around or something, and she just whipped out a knife and bashed her own eye out, cut her own eye out just to be like her dad, because she was nuts there before she became hero like. So yeah, the exotic sweet lily, is her name, right? So anyway, probably about 2013, I was at Heroes Con, and I was in line to see George Perez and Marv Wolfman beside of him, a few other people. I get Marv to sign a few things, and we end up having a little talk. And I talk about Eclipse, Total Eclipse. I don't really ask him anything about the Titans. So in getting the backstory of how he ended up doing Total Eclipse, that was the anniversary crossover event for Eclipse in the late 80s. He ended up admitting to me and to anybody listening, it wasn't like a real personal talk, that he stayed on the Titans for too long, and it was this crossover I immediately went to in my head, like, yeah, you did. But I didn't say it to the man. A lot of respect for Marv Wolfman, man, much respect. Anybody that gets with his buddy Len Wein and they look up Jack Kirby's, they get a phone book and they look up Jack Kirby's phone number and address and go to his house, they have my respect here. All right. Thank you, Victor. Okay. So the echoes on my end, we can move on. I appreciate you guys, man. All right. We're going backwards a little bit. Eternals is my favorite comic book documentary. I've stayed away from many things to have them not tainted. I knew better than to watch that Eternals movie. The Eternals are boring heathens who only watch movies. Yeah, from what I can tell with just the trailer, the problem with the Eternals movie is they took out the Kirby. My Ollie's is the most dismal Ollie's on the planet, but I'm going to see if they have a Kirby book. Mine has taken a turn for the worst. We're getting 2 or 3 really good books every 4 or 5 months, it seems like. Skeets. Oh, my God. Oh, that's Booster Gold's robot for people that don't know, man. Booster Gold just makes my blood pressure rise. Okay. So what we got here? John, I recently picked up the Eternals. I hope you enjoy it. I'm a Kirby nut, and that's enough for me. You know what I mean? So here's something that was interesting. I told you about how they would have key books and they would have them priced and had these boxes where, like I said, it was $2, $3 box. And then they would have like, I don't know, 10, I don't know, 20, I don't know what they did. But when it came to the keys, they had some of them priced and they had some of them in these really expensive box. For some reason, they had this one in the $2 box, but they had another copy in the key box. And I think they were wanting 25 for it, I think, right? All because it's a McFarlane cover, if you will, of a reprint series, The Death of Captain Stacy. Now, some of the first Spider-Man books that I remember reading as a kid, like I said, was Spider-Man, probably 14, I think, where he's in the cave and Green Goblin's flying around and the Hulk makes an appearance and that things like that. And then there was an issue where it was Man Mountain Marco when they were looking for a tablet. And I still have it. I could probably walk around here and might have it out, but there were some coverless copies and it was Romita Jr. stuff. And Captain Stacy was in a bed and Spider-Man came through the window to talk to him because, he was an ex-chief of police and stuff like that. So, we go Green Goblin and then this era of Spider-Man was some of the first stuff I remember reading of Spider-Man. Then we jump up to we had the first issue, the first appearance of Punisher in there, the Jackal stuff. And then there's a fantastic story I like where it's just a 2-issue story in the winter of New York, probably a Christmas story where you have Stegron and the Lizard. I ended up reclaiming those later on, right? So, yeah, this was a fantastic time to be a Spider-Man fan because you went from Craven's Last Hunt to a little bit of a downward, a little bit of a break, if you will. And all of a sudden we got rejuvenated and McFarlane coming on there, right? This was a fantastic time to be a Hulk and a Spider-Man fan, right? I don't care what anybody says. If you were there, McFarlane was hot and his stuff was fantastic. Now, here's part of the fun with this, right? If you look at his signatures from this era, come on, work with me. You'll see it says McFarlane #3. Well, there's a little error here of Todd McFarlane where he would put that number, and what he would do is that he would hide spiders in the artwork, and that means there's 3 of them you have to find. So to give you an example, if it will show up right here, if you look real close, you can see it in the outline. That's the spider you have to find. It is colored same as the background, but that is indeed a spider, the Spider-Man symbol. So there's 3 on that cover. So 2 of the things you can do with McFarlane art on Spider-Man is you can follow one piece of web that he would draw all the way through his webbing that he did. That was crazy. That pissed a lot of people off when he did the webbing like that. I thought it was fantastic. And then he would also hide that. And then when you got inside the book and stuff, you could look for Felix the cat. He would hide Felix the cat in Spider-Man issues. Sometimes he's a clock, sometimes he's a poster, sometimes he's a shadow over there, right? There was a lot of fun going on, and nobody reported on this. And I think I saw a few people on the letters pages later on catch it, Oh, man, what we got here? Oda hides a panda man in the background of One Piece to find 2. Nice. Comic Collector, how you doing? Everybody check out Comic Collector's channel. He's always got a few things going on there, right? So we have some Hulk issues. This is the Jeff Loeb era. Now, usually if a character is getting hot on the spec market or whatever you want to call it nowadays, or things like that, I'll do a little chuckle and I will take the challenge. Not that the Pepsi challenge means trying out 2 different things, but I'll take the challenge just to try to show people don't waste your money, don't get online, don't do some of this claim sales because I've already said it, man. These books are not worth that much and stuff, right? Go out in the wild, you can still find them and stuff, right? And like I said, it varies. I've got places that suck that used to be good. I had a a little honey hole here and there, and it's sporadic and things change. I get it that we just don't have. It's the luck of the draw sometimes, right? Most of the times. But the Red Hulk is super popular right now. I've already got this issue, but I went through and got 2 of the issues that I kind of remember being a bit of keys and stuff like that. But Jeff Loeb, see, this blows my mind. This is an era of the Hulk where Greg Pak came in, gave us Planet Hulk because they were doing the Illuminati bullshit with some of the characters at DC because, Bendis had just said fuck continuity and fuck characterization. We'll just say everybody's scrolls. It started coming up with these ideas that were never really fleshed out that well. My one man's opinion here, right? But over here in the Hulk, part of what they wanted to do before Civil War is Hulk was so powerful that Marvel editorial or somebody was like, we got to get the Hulk out of there, because he's the one that tips the scale. Okay. So what they did is they shot his ass into space. They revealed the Illuminati, and then they were like, Hulk, you get to do whatever you wanted to do, what you've always wanted to do. You get to be alone, right? And he ends up on Planet Hulk, right? And we get this fantastic Edgar Rice Burroughs Gladiator slash Conan slash everything that's just badass. And Silver Surfer comes in, and we get this fantastic Planet Hulk, and he ends up pulling a fucking Conan. He becomes king, more or less. And what does he do? He gets his blood brothers, or whatever they call themselves, his blood brood, or whatever they call themselves, and he's going back to Earth to get revenge. And how does he enter Earth? When they get the spaceship that entering Earth's atmosphere, Hulk is standing like on the hood with his gear on and his big axe or whatever it is, and he's coming in full blown, and he takes Madison Square Garden and makes that his little palace with a throne in there, right? World War Hulk is what became this great crossover. And then all of a sudden, when World War Hulk is over, Jeff Loeb comes out with Ed McGuinness, and we get a new Hulk #1, and he wakes up in the desert. We're back 30, 40 years at the time, and nobody ever speaks of World War Hulk again that I've ever seen. Like, it never happened. And it was badass. So I was a little resistant to this. And we get a Red Hulk and a mystery of who's the Red Hulk. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, because of that, and I worked with a guy at the time. We were into comics. He actually tried to publish his own comic and stuff, right? And we would talk about this. He would bring the books to work, and I looked at it, and I'm like, with that hair, I knew it was General Ross, and I didn't know that it was supposed to be a memory. I'm like, oh, what'd they do to Ross? Because General Ross always gets turned into a monster if you follow the Hulk. All right. He got turned into what was the big electrical creature there? Zax or something like that. I had the name until I started talking, but it was a play on words. Thunderbolt Ross got merged with a monster of electricity and stuff like that. It wasn't anything new, is what I'm trying to get at with this hatred of the Hulk. So anyway, I started seeing this book become more like it, right? But Jeff Loeb, man, his Long Halloween, some of the Batman stuff, Hush, he kind of faltered at the end there, but some of the delivery he gave was right there. His Superman, Batman. I read a little bit of his Spider-Man Blue, things like that. He delivers. He's good. He's a great writer. This guy loves comics, and I like when he starts pulling stuff where you can tell he was a fan of certain characters when he was a kid, and now he can play with them, and that's what he's kind of doing with the Hulk and stuff, right? So I got that one, and this one over here. This is they had multiple covers for these, right? So I already have this issue. What number is this? Oh, what do they make it so difficult? This is number 6. This is 6A. I had 6B and stuff, right? So with the Red Hulk popping up, everybody's little bit of little Red Hulk crazy and stuff. So when I saw these, I actually ended up getting these $2 a piece. I didn't really haggle with this. Was another guy I was dealing with. After dealing with those 3 other guys, I was like, happily give you $2 a piece for these. These were great. They had tons of Hulk and stuff, right? And this is what I was saying. I was showing some restraint. Didn't really get a whole bunch of them. Didn't really try to haggle too much. And we continue on with my little game. All right. So with my little game, I've explained Immortal Hulk many times, and I've got it down to a science so we can move forward here. But this is the Immortal Hulk number 31 of 50, right? And every issue has tons. There's director cuts of the first couple of issues, and then there's all sorts of other variant covers for all 50 of them. And they must have made a fortune off of this, right? But this was the book where people were like, Haller, this is one of those, this is a great book on the stands. This is a great modern book. So I've ended up finding a few of them at a yard sale at a flea market at Abingdon for $1 a piece. And then about a week or two later, or a month or two later, I ended up going to a comic book convention in Bristol. And these dealers and stuff have them in their boxes for $20, $30, $40 a piece. And I even told them, I'm like, I just found these for $1. And they were looking at me like, well, these ain't $1. So I made a game of this to go ahead and say that I can probably find all 50 issues for $1 a piece. And I have pretty much been successful. I think I didn't do the count again, but I think I'm down to like needing less than 10 by now. I don't know. I should have looked before I came on there and let everybody know the count. I could be wrong. But I ended up getting number one off of eBay for a little bit of money. I gave full transparency. I found the director's cuts for $1 a piece. So I'm like, well, I want number one for real since I've come this far. And I think I found it for like $7. And then in last week's haul, I found 3 issues that I got for $7 total. And I'm like, I think I've proven my point. I can go ahead and probably find those issues for $1 just to show that it's possible. But yeah, I ended up getting this one for $2 and stuff, right? So I think I've proved my point here and stuff, right? So this is issue 31, and what's great about this is that this is the one where I had to, when I finally started reading it from the beginning instead of an issue here and an issue there, this is the one where I apologize to everybody that had recommended the book to me, because my stance was this is how good every book was in the late 80s and early 90s there for a little window of time, right? And then I got to the issue where the Hulk has been chopped to pieces. Each body part is in a glass mad scientist jar, put on a shelf, and they're on a spaceship orbiting Earth or something. I don't think, maybe it wasn't a spaceship, maybe it's a space station, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is genius. This is fantastic. And that's where I came around, right? So this little arc here in the 30s, I think it started, the little arc there, but they had my favorite Jack Kirby monster from the 50s and whatnot, 60s or whatever. It's Zimnu. And that was the original Hulk. When I was a kid, the stepdad had some comic where it was all the reprints of the Hulk Zimnu monster there. So he came in here, and the thing about it is Zimnu, I think in this he eats people. John Byrne used him as a little funny in his She-Hulk run, right? So here we are with Planetary, a book that should be recommended reading for everyone, right? Planetary, to me, Warren Ellis's finest book. I know we're people, everybody went nuts over Authority and some other stuff he did. Stormwatch Authority, I have all of that. I love all of that. Don't get me wrong. But anyway, when Planetary came out, this is also like the history of pop culture and genres that influenced comics and everything like that, with a story going on with it and stuff. It's just fantastic. It's got an underlying story. It's 27 issues. It took 9 years for all 27 issues to come out. And I'm going to plug my playlist. I've probably got like the first 16 or 17 issues. I've got in-depth reviews of each issue in a Planetary playlist. Go to my comic channel, look at my playlist and stuff, right? I quit making them because the 40 people who asked me to keep going were all check in, and I would get 40 views on some of those, right? I get it. It's a little dry because like I get into comic history and stuff on those, right? The things I like. So anyway, this particular issue, what I'm doing is I'm getting a second set, and I'm going to get them bound. Okay. There's absolute editions out there you can try to track down and buy. I think they came out with, I think they went out of print, and then I heard something about another one may have come out or will be coming out, whatever, right? But now I have multiples of several issues that I like, but I think I just need number 11. I think it's the one with the red cover where it's sort of the spy issue, the Steranko Fury, but it's not Steranko Fury, right? But this is a cool issue because it's all the 50s sci-fi creatures and monsters, the 50-foot woman, the praying mantis, the this island Earth, one of my favorite, them with the giant ants and stuff, right? And you see how this all works in this world, right? Each issue of Planetary gives you a different genre story, if you will, yet they're all tied together, if you will, right? So this is supposed to look like a movie's poster from the 50s, if you will. War of the Worlds here in the corner, all that stuff, right? Fun stuff, right? So I just need one more to have a complete set. Then I've got my Captain Victory, Jack Kirby stuff I want to get bound. My Sword the Atom books I want to get bound in that. Now here we come with something that is a treat, right? Now we're into the heavy sci-fi stuff. Here we go. The Marilyn Monroe and Area 51 issue. Yeah, it is. And I didn't want to give too much away because you can see my review of what's going on with it, but there's a little bit more going on with with the not Marilyn Monroe character, if you will. There's a little bit more going on with her as an informant, if you will, right? Yeah, she's it's very cool. It's very cool, right? So I don't know if these last few books here, man, you've got to be an Isaac Asimov, Ray Bradbury fan, I think, to really get excited about seeing these, right? So graphic science fiction magazine, I don't know, Eclipse Books, Eclipse Comics. I had to remind myself who did this. There was 3 issues of this where they adaptations. I think there's 3 apiece in these books. 3 issues, 3 stories each inside of them, where they take Isaac Asimov science fiction stories and do adaptations to them. Right? I should have pulled out number 2 or number the other one I have. I wonder if it's nearby. I just had to move some stuff. I think it's up top. But anyway, I've been looking for number 2 here, the second one here, right? But this is a Dave Stevens cover from 1990. These came out in 1990. Here's your Dave Stevens cover that people don't realize is a Dave Stevens cover, which is why I now have 2. And the Dave Stevens stuff is cracking me up because it's going for big bucks. I think I actually saw somebody trying to sell this for, I think I saw this going for 20 all the way up to somebody. I don't know them personally, so I'm not going to insult them with what I was wanting to say. Trying to sell it for up to $80. This Dave Stevens mania that has all of a sudden happened. The price guides, the actual real price guides, those books are not increasing in value. There might be 1 or 2, and they're going for crazy things, right? But this is just good reading, folks. Is what I'm trying to get at here, right? Really good stuff. And this is the one that I'm always trying to find out. One of the things that I do, that's number 1. This should be number 2, I think. Yeah, volume 2. But I love these covers if it shows up right. But this is based on, and everybody knows the picture. Everybody knows the pictures. If you go back and find some of my videos from 2015 and 16, I actually had an intro to my videos when I shot normal videos, and I had an intro with an Anne Margaret song over it where we were panning across the actual Nighthawks picture, and it was the Howler Mouse channel, right? And this is the that photo. I've had my friends Star and Tim and a bunch of people tell me like that picture is so you, because I have been in this it's Americana at its best from the 40s. Anyway, this is a sci-fi version of it. So I also have several comics. I have a Tick panel where they do this. I have a Guy Gardner issue where they homage this, if you will, right? So this is the one I was needing, and it was because of this cover that it was hard to get. I've been looking for it for years without buying it online, if you will, right? So I'm looking forward to those. And the third one that I didn't show has one of my favorite comic book stories of all time, even though it's an adaptation of an Isaac Asimov story. But a guy makes a time machine and he goes back to the time of Eden, and he stops the serpent in Eden, if you will. And Isaac Asimov plays around with what would have happened if the Garden of Eden had been untarnished, if you will, right? And then these were very cool, guys. These were very cool to find, right? Because it took me a minute. There is I want to say it was Dark Horse. I don't know. There's Harlan Ellison and there's Ray Bradbury. And I am unashamed with the fact that due to me reading Harlan Ellison and Ray Bradbury around the same time, they sometimes merge in my head into one author. I don't know who wrote what, but I know the stories. So Soft Rains Will Come. Is it Ray Bradbury or is it Harlan Ellison? I don't know. It'll change with the wind. It doesn't matter if I can almost recite the entire story, and things like that. I watched the Ray Bradberry Chronicles on Amazon and stuff. Watched them for years. Then there's Harlan Ellison, who has had many adaptations, and he actually had like this Dream Quarter book that came out, and I've got several of them and stuff, right? And I'm fine with it. I love these 2 authors. They're two of my favorite. And these Ray Bradberry Chronicles, apparently there are 3 of them, right? Here are 2 of them, 1 and 2. And what they've done is they have collected stories that have been adapted from his stories. Each one has one EC comic story in it. Just some fantastic work. Dave Gibbons have worked on some of these. They got Wally Wood in an issue. Anybody that's worked on his stuff up to a point. Tim Truman did a cover for the one that I have missing. That's a Dave Gibbons cover. And these came out in 1990. Bantam Spectra books. I didn't know these existed, but when I first saw them, I really thought that they were just a collected edition of the Harlan Ellison book that I was getting in my head. Harlan Ellison is such a freaking comic book fan that you know that's what I'm trying to get at. It's just those two have just merged in my head. Who worked on the Star Trek? Who wrote City of Forever? I can quote all the works. You know what I mean? Ray Bradbury, the galaxy's master storyteller. Dark they were and golden eyed. I love that story. Right? It's what happens when people are on a planet and they find remnants of a society, and they ended up turning back into that society, if you will. The Golden Apples of the Sun, The Dragon. I think that one has a little bit of a twist ending, if you will. Marionettes Incorporated. This could have been passed for an Isaac Asimov story because he mixes people, men, women, and robots. He mixes them all together. Let's put it that way, right? See the companionship, nagging for a mate, that kind of thing. The Tony B. Convector. Let's see, Ralph Reese does some great work in this. P. Craig Russell, one of my favorite. Kent Williams. Depends on the project for me to like him. Depends on the project. And like I said, each story has a little bit of an introduction by Ray. And this, like I said, this is just great reading. If you like hardcore sci-fi, the Martian Chronicles and all that stuff, great artwork. This should be the Al Williams. I think is this Al Williamson? Al Williamson may have done something in this. Yeah, it's illustrated. This is an EC story. So yeah, you get an EC story in each one. I was very excited to get these. I passed on them. They were $3 a piece, which is a steal. I passed on them, and that's probably how I added probably about another mile to my walking. For you guys that have come in, when I went to the flea market this morning, I had my health tracker, my steps, counting my steps and stuff. I ended up walking 6.33 miles in 4 hours, hustling. The whole town was a flea market. So this is just fantastic stuff. There's so much for me to read here. Come into the cellar, Dave Gibbons. Just great stuff. Dave Gibbons, some of his art cracks me up. This reminds me of his Martha Washington era, but the way he kind of puts lines on everybody's noses and the little bags on everybody's eyes, everybody always looks drunk and they all have these goofy faces. And Gibbons is a master, so I'm wondering if this is like a joke or something with the way he was drawing people back then. Rocket Summer, The Locust. Yeah, great stuff, man. Sorry about the glare, but these are shiny pages. Yeah, Night Meetings. Now we got somebody riding a grasshopper, a locust, if you will. Great stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna end up reading this tonight. Nice, clean artwork. Piece of Wood. I really want to read this one. I'm not familiar with this story, but the gray wash, the artwork of the gray wash, man. That is fantastic. In the times that I played around and was like playing around with art to have an idea of doing my own comic at some point and stuff, my stuff ended up looking a lot like this. Just not as professional looking, if you will. Okay. It's not, I'm not going to make it sound like, and like I said, here we go. And we get another EC story from, the 50s and stuff, right? Oh man. So let's get back up here. We'll leave a little comics there. See if we got anything here. Here we go. Palo is here. Hey, Bradbury's writing is a lot more visual than Asimov's. I bet the comic adaptation is better too. I enjoy them both, but I am going to be comparing them since I have them back to back. And you're probably right, Palo. You know what I mean? You're probably right. I just want to go in with fresh eyes and see what I think. But yeah, Asimov. Asimov is he's just got more of the science background. You know what I mean? His stuff, as odd as it sounds, is a bit more grounded, if that makes any sense. And you know, it's a whole other thing. We'll talk about it in face to face or something. Uh, Greetings. Sorry I'm late. 11:22 in the. Oh, how you doing? Good to see you. Glad you returned for a second week. Sorry I'm late. 11:12 in the PM. 11:12 in the PM in the UK. I love Gibbons' work for Rogue Trooper in 2000 AD. Yeah, Boland's work on Judge Dredd and the Judge Death stories, especially that I finally got to see. I could pull them out on the shelf, and the Gibbons stuff that he did for with Doctor Who and the Rogue Trooper stuff that I've discovered over the years. You know, when it finally made its way over here, fantastic stuff. And yeah, I think I found Gaiman in Dave Gibbons during his Green Lantern run. My brother was buying it. You know. All right, and sorry, Afro SF, but that is it. That is it, guys. That is the run. We have the storm going on, still going on. So I think I'm gonna get a bite to eat, and I think instead of watching the wrestling pay per view I was going to do, I think I want to read a little bit of science fiction here. I think I'm going to dabble in a little Eternals, and then dabble in a little Ray Bradbury, and dabble in a little Isaac Asimov and stuff. Right? Asimov was my favorite writer for quite a bit until World of Tears came along, and Philip Jose Farmer got me. Yeah. All right. So, like I said, guys, I've had a lot of fun doing these live shows. I've been very fortunate with picking up books this month. Consider these live streams a director's cut, but at some point, real soon here, I'm probably just going to do a little video just to show all the August books, if you will, and stuff. A proper video. Don't know if I'm going to be here in the morning of what would that be, 9/1. We will see what happens. There may be a few things I need to do tomorrow, but I have Monday off, and I decided I am taking it off, so I could pop up at any time. So make sure you thumb it up, subscribe, hit that bell, and who knows? Who knows? In Palo, I will give you a yell. I'll send you a message on Instagram or Messenger. I'll get you on Messenger. And anybody else that ever wants to pop up here and stuff, just give me a yell. Anyway, for you guys in the States, enjoy your holiday weekend. You guys around the world, it's always an honor. Always an honor. Tip my hat to you guys. Just love how we all can. Comics have brought us together. Just love that and stuff, right? I'm going to enjoy the thunderstorm. You guys be excellent to each other and read your comics. And get on YouTube and check out some clips of Watchmen Chapter 1. I think it's fantastic. I also think it's unfair that people are trying to act like, oh, it looks like the What If Marvel stuff. It's like saying Shrek looks like Toy Story. Get over it. Anyway, be excellent to each other.